guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we are going to be going over my official Tampa Bay Buccaneers 7-round mock draft 2.0. Hope you guys all enjoy this mock draft. I have done plenty of research in terms of what the experts are saying, what Bucs fans are saying, and everywhere else in between, right? And I think that I have a pretty solid mock draft overall that is very different than what my first mock draft was. And I'll just say this right off the bat. This mock draft is assuming the Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-sign a guy like Ndamukong Suh. Please keep that in mind while I go through these picks. But these guys are still able to contribute for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and provide some quality roles for the team, not just in the immediate sense in their first years with the team, but also in the near future as well. So let's go ahead and get started here. In round number 1, pick number 27 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have them selecting Kaiir Elam, cornerback out of Florida, 6'2", 191 pounds. I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done some work on the cornerback room. They brought back Carlton Davis. That was huge. That was the most important move they could have made for that cornerback room this offseason. And they also brought in Logan Ryan, who is going to be, in my opinion, a very good leader and a solid rotational guy, both at safety and at slot cornerback as well. But with Kaiir Elam, you get even more depth, which I think is necessary for this cornerback position. Actually, corner in round 1 is something that a lot of experts and a lot of Bucs fans have been clamoring for the team to take in round number 1. It's understandable as to why. This is one of the only positions where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers haven't, done a massive ton of work, right? They haven't brought in any new big faces besides Logan Ryan. It's mainly been stay the course. You have Carlton Davis, you have Jaydon, you have Sean Murphy-Bunting, and those guys are great. That is a good trio of starting cornerbacks, in my opinion, but you're gonna need depth. Why do I say that? Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers suffered so many injuries at the cornerback position last season. They were playing their 6th, their 7th, and their 8th cornerbacks as starting guys in the middle of the season last year. That was not a good situation to be in, right? And with Elam, you get so much valuable depth. In my opinion, Elam could potentially beat out a guy like Jaydon or Sean Murphy-Bunting for a starting job right away. But if he didn't, he's your 4th cornerback, and that is a great 4th cornerback to have. I know what people are going to say is, oh man, this is like the Joe Tryon pick where he wasn't a starter right away. Look, folks, the Bucs are in win now mode. I understand that, but there's not many starting positions available right now on this team. It was a similar case last year with the Joe Tryon pick. With Elam, you get so much valuable depth that could be necessary if more injuries rear their ugly head on the team. Elam could slot right in. He is a great perimeter corner, right? He can play man, he can play zone, he can tackle, he can do press, he can do everything that you want a corner to do in the NFL. And it is going to be, or would be, a good fit for a Todd Bowles style defense if they were to draft Elam in round number 1. So I think the possibilities are definitely in a lot of good branching directions, right? Elam could be a starter right away with Carlton Davis, and that would be a great starting cornerback duo, in my opinion. But if he did not get a starting job right away, at the very least, the floor is that you have a fantastic number 4 cornerback who would be a starter in as soon as year number 2, right? Because Sean Murphy-Bunting and / or Jaydon could leave in free agency next year when their contracts expire. Boom, you slap in Kaiir Elam into that number 2 cornerback position next to Carlton Davis, and you just go straight to the moon because you got 2 big physical corners who can do so much for your defense, and that would be just lovely. So Kaiir Elam, cornerback out of Florida, is who I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting in round number 1. In round number 2, pick number 60, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Jamaree Salyer Interior offensive lineman out of Georgia, 6'3", 325 pounds. Folks, I hope I said that. I hope I said that name right? Because every single year, every single mock draft, I get like one name wrong every single time. I hope I got that name right. Why don't you let me know down in the comments section below? But in all seriousness, right? Salyer here. Interior offensive line, this is a position that I did very similar in my first mock draft, right? I took an interior offensive lineman in that, mock draft 1.0 in round number 2. I'm doing the same thing here because I feel it's important, right? Salyer would compete with Aaron Stinnie for that starting left guard position. Right now, Shaq Mason, he is going to be the starting right guard. The Buccaneers still have a question mark, one of their only question marks left, really, at that left guard position. I think Salyer and Aaron Stinnie could battle for that starting left guard spot, and I think that either guy would be a solid, capable starter in between Donovan Smith and in between Ryan Jensen, which is why I have the Buccaneers investing this early in interior offensive line, because it's needed. Hey, Georgia produces really, really good offensive linemen, by the way. Salyer, I think, would fit right into that mold coming out of college, going into the NFL, competing with a guy like Aaron Stinnie, and potentially being a starter in as early as year number 1 with the team, much like what I was saying with Kaiir Elam. Jason Light has had great success drafting offensive linemen, by the way. Donovan Smith, Alex Kappa, Tristan Wirfs, Ali Marpet, those guys, Robert Hainsey, those guys were all mid, second, third round draft picks. And, Tristan Wirfs was the first rounder, but those guys are all second, third round draft picks by the Bucs. And I think they've all, been good for the Bucs, and Robert Hainsey has a bright future. And I think that, again, Salyer out of Georgia is going to fit right into that mold if the Buccaneers were to draft him in round number 2. He is my second pick. In round number 3, pick number 91 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have them selecting Jake Ferguson, tight end out of Wisconsin, 6'5", 250 pounds. As of the recording of this video, Rob Gronkowski has not re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is still debating as to whether or not to play or retire. So this is where Jake Ferguson comes in. Would Jake Ferguson be, an insane, top of the NFL talent at the tight end position if he had to be a starter in his first year? I don't know if you could say that, but I think that Ferguson would be a quality, decent, capable guy at that tight end position if you needed to put him in that starting tight end role, right? And I don't think that's going to be necessary. I think even if Rob Gronkowski does not, come back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they will add somebody in free agency, some type of win now move to get a starting caliber tight end in there. And Ferguson would more likely than not be the number 2 tight end, which I think is a perfect role for him to be in because he gives you a little bit of everything. He gives you a little bit of blocking, he gives you a little bit of receiving ability, and he would be your developmental tight end for the future. The Bucs lost O.J. Howard in free agency. Cam Brate is getting up there in age. Jake Ferguson could come in here out of Wisconsin and be a solid developmental guy that can give you a little bit in year number 1 and then maybe be your eventual starter in year number 2 and beyond. I really like Jake Ferguson's game. He's got the size, he's got the ability, he's got the versatility that you want to see in a tight end position in a Byron Leftwich style offense. I think overall it would be a solid pick for the Bucs in round number 3. Rounding out this mock draft, round number 4, pick number 133, Jamaree White, running back out of Georgia, 5'11", 215 pounds. I took 2 players out of Georgia. There's a reason why. They produce good players, and Jamaree White would be no different. Right now, he is basically a receiving back, right? That is what he is tabbed to be in his first year going into the NFL. Yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have Leonard Fournette back. They have Keshawn Vaughn. They have Giovani Bernard. But Jamaree White, I could see being a good, solid depth piece in case of injuries, much like what I talked about in the cornerback room, and maybe like what we saw with Keshawn Vaughn in Tom Brady's first year with the team. Maybe Zamir White has a couple of really nice moments where he has a catch here or a nice run there and is able to pick and choose some of the spots where he's able to make an impact and, hey, maybe gain some fanfare with those moments and set himself up for the future with the team. Yes, Leonard Fournette's under a 3-year deal. Yes, Keshawn Vaughn still has a couple years left on his deal, but Giovani Bernard is only have 1 year left on his deal. Maybe after this upcoming season, White would become the role that Giovani Bernard has now, which is a guy who you put in the 2-minute warning, a guy who you put in there for pass blocking, and you do some other things with as well. White could also return kicks. That's something that may be a discussion for the Bucs in this upcoming draft. And, in terms of drafting guys later on in rounds 4th round and lower. And, this isn't a foreign concept to the Bucs, right? They did it last year with Jalen Darden in round number 4. They were looking at special teams players that early in the draft. Maybe they could do it again this year. We will have to wait and see. But regardless, I think Zamir White could have some type of future role with the team. And, I think it could still be a possibility because the team does have an affinity for running backs. They do like to stock up on running backs from time to time. That could be something that they continue to do in this draft. Zamir White, running back out of Georgia, is who I have the Buccaneers selecting in round number 4. And then the 2 7th-round draft picks. First pick number 248, Myron Cunningham, offensive tackle out of Arkansas, 6'6", 325 pounds, just a developmental tackle to compete with some of the guys that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have already brought in, compete with a guy like Josh Wells. Big guy Cunningham is, right? I think he is right now slated to be a right tackle. I could be wrong about that. He could play either tackle position if I'm being honest with you. The dude is gargantuan. And again, hey, it's nice to build up some depth. It's nice to add some young developmental guys. The Buccaneers would continue to do that here with this pick of Cunningham out of Arkansas. And then finally, the last pick number 261. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Christopher Allen, edge defender out of Alabama, 6'4", 252 pounds. I don't even know if Christopher Allen would be here for this pick. I'm going based off of the Draft Network's big board that they have from all of their experts contributing to that. In my opinion, Christopher Allen could go as early as, say, round 5, but the Draft Network seems to believe he could go in the 7th round. If he did, I think it'd be an absolute steal for the Bucs. I think that he would provide some very good young developmental pass rushing ability behind guys like Joe Tryon, Anthony Nelson, and Shaq Barrett. I think, again, much like in the case of what I said with Georgia, Alabama can put out some really good players when they want to, and I think Christopher Allen is a sleeper in this draft in terms of his edge rushing ability. He gives you a lot of versatility. Heck, he even gives you a little bit of coverage ability as well, and the versatility is key. It's good for a Todd Bowles style of defense, and I think that, Christopher Allen would help out a lot in regards to that and kind of continue to grow and develop, maybe as a backup pass rusher at first, and then hey, you see what his role is later on down the line. He can also contribute on special teams as well. So, folks, that's it for this mock draft. I'm, satisfied overall with this mock draft. I know people are going to question some of this, right? Again, I said at the top of this video, this is assuming the Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-sign a guy like Ndamukong Suh, because I did not take a single defensive lineman in this mock draft. Don't worry, we are going to be getting, some defensive line help in a future mock draft. But for this one, I focused mainly on offensive guys in the middle rounds, right? You took an interior offensive lineman in round number 2 with Salyer there. You took a tight end with Jake Ferguson in round number 3. You took a running back in round number 4 with Zamir White. You really did add, I really did try to add to the overall depth of this Buccaneers offense in those middle rounds. And then we had a couple of defensive guys. Kaiir Elam in round number 1. I think he'd be a fantastic pick in round number 1. And then at the end there with Christopher Allen at edge, and you even get a developmental tackle in Cunningham in round number 7 as well. So the one thing that is missing from this mock draft, which I might have put in round number 4, was an interior defensive lineman. But again, I kind of wanted to mix things up from my mock draft 1.0 going into this mock draft 2.0, and then going into mock draft 3.0 is going to be different than this mock draft that you're seeing right now. I try to spice things up. I try to make things different while keeping it realistic as well. I do think some of these picks would be realistic for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but it did hurt me a little bit to not take a single interior defensive lineman. But the Buccaneers don't have a ton of picks to work with, and they do have some other depth needs at other position groups as well. I made do with what I had. What do you guys think of this mock draft? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below. I would love to hear them. Do you agree with some of these picks? Do you disagree with some of these picks? You might disagree with that Zamir White pick in round number 4. Maybe you would take an interior defensive lineman in that round. Or maybe you would take a running back in round number 4. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions about this mock draft. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.